We are live. Let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we're back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. We have Jacob Toliver. How's it going, man?
Hey, Tom, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's Tuesday on a short week, so I'm happy.
Yeah, amen to that.
Right. So how's everything going in Ohio?
Doing well. Just got back from Nashville last night, so I've been on the road. I've been in the last week. I've been in Virginia and West Virginia, Nashville, Memphis, Natchez, Mississippi, and then back to Ohio all in a week. So I'm a little scatterbrained at the moment.
Fair enough. And I take it you're driving to all those places?
Yeah, that was driving. It was,
okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Because in my head, I'm like, well, I mean, you could fly, but I feel like driving would be just as convenient. But, you know.
When you're doing that many, it's almost better to drive.
Right.
Yeah. The time you deal with security. And, I mean, you can, if you're just doing short little jaunts like that, it's just, might as well just hop in the car and go.
Right. So you were born and raised in Ohio, correct?
Born and raised here, yeah. And then when I was 18, I moved out to Las Vegas for about 4 years, and then I was in LA for 4 years after that. And then COVID hit, and I moved all my stuff to Nashville, and so now I split Ohio and Nashville, and it's only about a 4-hour drive. So I'm up here, came back up for Thanksgiving, and
it works. Like, especially Nashville, kind of being the place to be as a musician. You know, it's an easy drive. I lived in Bowling Green, Kentucky for a minute, and so going into Nashville was like super easy. So
yeah, just hop on and go. I pass Bowling Green about, I don't know, at least every other week, so fair. I know it very well.
Very fair. So how long have you been pursuing music, I guess, is the best way to ask that question?
Oh man, you know, I was like 14 when I started playing piano, and I don't know, I just really took to it very quickly. Like in 3 months, I kind of like had it down. And going out of high school, I was accepted at Ohio State University, and the Ohio State University. And I was to go there, and was going to go into public relations. And I knew I wanted to do music, but I just didn't know how, because I couldn't read music, so I didn't understand theory. And, you know, like I knew I wasn't going to college for music because I can't read and I don't understand theory. So, you know, be a big fat F on every assignment. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll go into public relations and kind of like sneak into music through the back door and, you know, be a PR guy for a band or for a show or something. And it just worked itself out. One day I got home from, at the time during high school, in high school, I was working at a local pizza and ice cream shop. And I got home from work one night, and I had a email from YouTube. It was a notification saying somebody had commented on my video, and I checked this comment, and it says, "Hey, we're Madorma Casting in Las Vegas. We'd like to see you for an audition. Give us a call at this number." And so I called back the next day, and they're like, "Hey, we'd like to fly you out tomorrow to Las Vegas for an audition." Here I am in Ohio, 17 years old, and I go, let me talk to my parents." And so, you know, we decided on what's the harm in an audition, and so I did it, and I flew out the next day to Vegas, and got a call back, so I extended an extra day, which my parents must have been flipping. You know, here's their 17-year-old son's in Las Vegas by himself and saying, "Hey, Mom, I'm going to stay in Las Vegas one more day." But they flew me back the next day, and it was funny. I turned 18 on that Thursday, and they called me on Friday, and they said, "Hey, you got the job. Do you want to do this or college?" And so I just went for it.
Fair. And just to clarify for the young kids watching right now, this was during a time where this was a very acceptable way to do business, and it wasn't considered creepy.
Yeah. Well, you know,
it still could have been, but
it was to a degree, but my parents were very involved in all of it, and so there was a really really sweet casting agent, Lisa Green, who we verified all the information of the company and her and she was so sweet. We still in touch a little bit. She's on my Facebook, I think, and she lives overseas now, but she was so sweet. She picked me up from the airport and took me to the hotel and was just kind of my, the person that was watching over me. And so she and mom, they were in constant communication those few days.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it wasn't just, it wasn't Home Alone, me going, it wasn't Kevin going to the city, but it was, it's still pretty daunting for a parent, I'm sure, and I was having a ball. I thought it was great.
Right, because that was what, around 2012, 2013, somewhere in that ballpark.
Right. Yeah, I graduated in 2012, and that was in 2012.
Yeah,
and then the show began in January of 2013.
What show was that you got picked up for?
Yeah, it was a Broadway show called $1 Million Quartet. So I was aware of it because it had just won the Tony that year prior, and so I knew of it. And it was in Chicago. It was on Broadway. It had a national tour at the time, and there was also a version on the West End in London. And so it was at that time it was a very big show, and so I was very familiar with it. It was a show about it's a real event that took place where Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Carl Perkins, and Jerry Lee Lewis all got together randomly by happenstance and had this impromptu jam session at Sun Records in Memphis. And Sam Phillips, the guy that owned Sun Records, he was smart enough and wise enough to call the newspaper in and get a famous photo where they're all four gathered around the piano and even smarter to turn on the reels and capture the audio, so the audio exists too.
Right. Every once in a while, there's just those moments where it's like, you know what? Maybe I should just hit record and let it be what it is. So,
yeah, what $1 million, you just go into work and that happens. It's
right?
$1 million day.
Right. It's Oh, so you did that show for 4 years, or you were just kind of in Vegas for 4 years?
Yeah, I did that show for 4 years, and because it was funny when I got that show. My mom's side of the family, they were all like highly educated back as far as you can trace the bloodline, all doctors, lawyers, teachers, whatever.
Yeah.
And my dad was all, very blue collar, laborer, farmers. And my dad, he plays drums and loves rock and roll. And so I thought my dad would be the one that would be like, yeah, go get it, son. And it was the other way around. I was the one that was going to break the curse, and in his eyes. And then mom was like, you know what? College will always be there. It's not all it's cracked up to be, and you can always go back. And so it started out as a 6-month contract, and I 6-monthed myself about 8 times, and just kept kicking the ball, and it was just going so well.
Right.
And from there, then when the show closed, I knew I didn't want to stay in Vegas. And I wanted to go to Nashville is where I wanted to go. But because we were in Vegas, it's only like a 45-minute flight to LA.
Yep.
And people drive over every weekend. And so I got to know all these just, really cool people and great contacts in the industry. And it just was kind of the logical place to go next. And so I told myself I'd go to Los Angeles for 5 years, and 5 to 10, but I was hoping 5. And then I would move to Nashville, and the purpose was just to kind of solidify all those contacts, and I did. And then COVID kept me true to 5 years, almost to the day. So it ended up perfectly, really.
Right. Now, was the move to LA to try and pursue more acting opportunities, or was it to try and do music?
It was both, and the main focus was just to solidify a bunch of really great industry contacts.
Okay, gotcha.
But I was hoping I would advance in both music and acting. And when I went out there, I signed with an acting agent, and it's pretty much as soon as I signed, they folded. And so, that kind of went nowhere fast. And then about that time, Jerry Lee Lewis was still alive and touring, and invited me. He invited me to go out on the road with him as his opening act,
Oh wow.
and so that was pretty,
Oh
pretty
yeah.
amazing. So here I am. I'm based in LA now at the time, and I'm going out on the road with Jerry Lee Lewis as his opening act. So that ate up the majority of my time in LA,
Yeah.
and I did a couple little, like, I would do some like extra work and things
Mhm.
of that nature when I was out in LA. But no, I didn't really get to pound the pavement like I wanted to, because
I mean,
again,
you got a crash course going out on the road with Jerry Lee Lewis. So like, I mean,
yeah, I mean, my first 8 years out of the house, away from home, was a boot camp. First
right?
4 years are in Vegas playing every night, and then you're on the road with just an absolute legend, an architect of a genre of music.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was a pretty great foundation to build, for sure.
Yeah. It's almost like the first 4 years that you were in Vegas proved to yourself that you could do that lifestyle of playing every night and just kind
Yep.
of pushing yourself through it. And then the 4 years, 5 years on the road with Jerry, it was just kind of like, okay, that's your stamp of approval. Now go. Now,
Yeah,
whatever.
and that's essentially it. That's very well said. That's exactly what happened. And uh, Vegas was very important because I had never been in a band prior to
Yeah.
that. I'd always just me in high school and my keyboard, and I'd lug
Yeah.
my keyboard around, and I'd play a few gigs here and there around town. And if I was really lucky, I might get one in the town over,
Yeah.
but it was just me and my keyboard. And so I'd never once had I played in a band. So, that was a learning curve, because here you are now, you have to keep time, you have to count correctly. And when it's just you and your instrument, you can add a bar or two, or add a bar, it doesn't have to make sense mathematically, as
Yeah.
long as as long as it fits the beat. And so that was quite the thing to correct.
Mhm.
And but I did, and figured it out, and it was just a great boot camp. And then, yeah, like I said, then the I proved to myself that I could do that, and then the validation came from opening shows with
Yeah.
Jerry. So it was a really great 4 years. And then, like I said, COVID kept me true to the
To
minimum side, which of 5 years, which was exactly what I wanted. And went to Nashville, and the sole purpose of Nashville is just to start working on original music,
yeah.
and working on my own sound. And it all kind of happened at the right time, because then I had enough knowledge to really do it well, and figure out
Yeah.
the music I want to make.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
so I take it while you were on the road with Jerry Lee Lewis, you were playing like covers, standards, right?
Yeah, I it was funny when I first went on the road with him. I was very leery of stepping on his toes. I didn't
Mhm.
want to, go out there and make it seem like, 'cause we both play piano. Didn't
Yeah.
want to seem like I was trying to, like, upstage him or anything. I'm sorry, my phone keeps going off here. Let me.
No, you're good.
Um, I don't know how I can.
Honestly, I can't even hear it going off. So
Okay, okay.
yeah.
If you can't, then I'm good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was kind of tiptoeing around, and was playing very slow country songs, and some, like, kind of like ragtimey
Yeah.
things, and just like something that I wanted to complement his show. And so, like, I kept it all in the world of that genre without touching the genre.
Hmm.
And after, like, the second or third show, he pulled me aside, and he goes, "Son," he goes, "don't worry about me." He goes, "You go out there and give it your best show."
Yeah.
And that was him pretty much telling me, "I know I'm Jerry Lee Lewis. They're going to be happy. Whatever you
Yeah.
do." He knew he was in his 80s, and he
Yeah.
knew that. And at that time, technically, was I better? Sure. Um, but he recognized that, and he knew it didn't matter. And
Yeah.
and that was the beautiful thing. Like, there wasn't this rivalry, which I was
Right.
afraid of, because
Yeah.
if you know anything about Jerry Lee Lewis, there was, he's quite um, particular, and I don't know if cocky is the word, but very
Yeah.
confident. and
Yeah.
and so I just didn't want to ruffle any feathers. And so,
Right.
anyway, he addressed it very quickly, and it's pretty much, "Son, go out there and kill it. Stop,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Because
stop
at that
tiptoeing
point,
around."
right? Because at that point, all you're really doing is hurting yourself by not giving it your best. Because at
Yes.
that point in his career, he's like, I could sit here and play chopsticks for 3 hours and people are going to just be happy to see me, you know?
Exactly. I mean, just go out and take a bow and leave, and you're good. Yeah.
Right?
And he knew that,
Yeah.
and so he knew whatever I was doing wasn't going to upstage him,
Yeah.
and so that was a really kind of a beautiful moment when he did that. It was pretty cool,
Yeah.
and then from there, prior to that, I'd gotten to know him pretty well, and
Mhm.
then from there, that relationship really developed, and he became like a grandfather.
Yeah.
It was a pretty amazing his last 10 years of his life is a pretty amazing 10 years of my life.
Oh, yeah.
It's
That's
pretty cool.
that's a cool story. Like, just share. And I'm sure, like, even when you're not playing or out at the show, and you guys are just sitting, I don't know, like hanging out or drinking or whatever it was you do in your spare time. I'm sure you got to just pick from the fruit or the knowledge tree, just kind of picking his
Yeah.
brain.
I mean, that's where most of it was picked,
Mhm. Yeah.
was off away from those settings. It would just
Mhm.
be hanging out in his, back room watching TV and just, talking or something. We,
Yeah.
be shooting the breeze, and the stuff that, you learn just things.
Mhm.
So I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now,
Yeah. No, you're
but
good.
there was very valuable moments for sure. I'm like, that's how you do that. Or that's,
Yeah.
there would just be things that would all of a sudden would be like these light bulb moments. That'd be, that makes sense now. And, learned a lot.
Right.
It was, it was,
Right.
it was a great 10 years for sure.
That's cool. That's really cool. And then you said pandemic kept you true to your word, getting to Nashville. And was it hard to transition from doing more covers to writing your own music, doing your own thing, or was it a
Well,
pretty seamless transition?
yeah, I mean, I had been, flying to Nashville pretty regularly as soon as I moved away from Vegas. As soon as
Mhm.
once I was in LA, I was and even some of the time when I was in Vegas, but
Mhm.
once I moved to LA, I was regularly going to Nashville with the
Yeah.
sole purpose of writing. And I'd go for a few weeks at a time. And one of my best friends, he's from my same hometown, a guy named Rick Farrell. He wrote Tim McGraw's biggest hit, something like that.
Oh, well.
And, so he really helped me out and still does. Uh, and so, yeah, it was a pretty easy, once I made the move, it wasn't that difficult, because I'd already been doing it more and more. It was just kind of snowballing, but it took a second because I was not at first, my writer's brain was not on. Like, it was just, it was just non-existent.
Mhm.
And so I was very, dependent on whoever I was writing with.
Yeah.
And now my melodic sense is improved tremendously. And lyrically, I'm still not the best. I'm good at coming up with the overall idea of what the song is
Mhm.
usually, or even just a tag like the hook.
Mhm.
Might just be a few words, but those few words will dictate what the whole song is.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty good at getting that initial seed of what it's about. I pretty much always have the melody, and on some instances, but it's usually only been gospel songs. I've written a whole album worth of gospel songs. I haven't recorded them yet, but in a few instances when I've written those, I'll write the whole song myself,
Mhm.
lyrics and melody. But usually I need another person in there lyrically to get me going. Uh, but I've definitely blossomed into a writer. It took a long time though. I mean, it was a good 5 years of
Right.
kind of pounding it into my brain, and then finally it's like, I know, okay, it's
Right.
starting to make sense now. Yeah,
Right. It's one of those deals where it's like, it's really hard to kind of wrap the idea of like, hey, just kind of let the thoughts flow and let it come to you.
yeah,
Whereas like, because like, I mean, I've done a lot of writing for like film stuff, TV stuff, promotional ads. So like, that's a lot of where my writing skills go. And it's like, you're trying to force something to happen. And it's like, no, just got to kind of let it go. And I can only imagine that's tenfold in songwriting. I haven't dabbled in songwriting that much, but you know, it's
That's where I don't excel, is when you have your 10 a.m. appointment on Music Row and you have to go in and just conjure up a song out of nothing with
yeah,
no inspiration. That is a skill set that is I have not found, and I'm not convinced I have. Like those gospel songs,
hmm
they just hit me. They're, the lightning rod is up, and the idea is like downloaded into my hard drive, and bam, it's just there. It's
right,
hard to describe. It's just, it comes to you. And even just, most of all my secular stuff, same way, all the ideas I come up with. Or some of them, I do keep like a note going in my phone, like most writers, of somebody will say some twisted phrase and you go, wait a minute, that's funny. That could make a good song.
yeah,
And so I do keep that. And so that's, I'll keep those ideas, and then eventually I'll find the melody that I think fits one of
yeah,
those phrases. But yeah, it's hard for me to just pull it out. I go through these spells and bursts where the creative juices flow, and I'll come up with a few songs a day,
yeah,
and then I'll go 6 months with nothing. And
right,
then I go through 6 months of just madness where I wake up at 4 a.m. and I have a song idea, and I'm like whispering into my phone,
right,
whatever the melody is.
right,
So yeah,
right.
it's just kind of weird. It just kind of ebbs and flows the way the creativity comes, but I'm not good at forcing it.
Oh
That's
yeah,
not easy for me.
oh yeah. It's it's one of those things where it's like it, you just can't force it. Like for me, songwriting is three chords and the truth. You can't
Yep.
force that. Like that's everybody I talk to, every singer songwriter I talk to, that is the most accurate representation of songwriting is three chords and the truth. And
Amen.
trying to force the truth out isn't always that easy. So
No, and some writers, they have that where they can do their 10 a.m. right,
yeah,
and it's not forced. They can just tap into that very easily, and like they can find their inspiration just on a whim, and I have to let it come to me. I can't.
yeah,
It's just,
right.
and some people have it. Some people can access it way quicker and easier than others. But me, I mean, I'm chasing down the idea, and it's like a battle.
Right. I totally understand. I totally understand. So where are you kind of at creatively right now? I know you got a new song coming out here really quick.
Just came out Friday.
Friday.
Yep, last Friday. It was a cover of Here Comes Santa Claus. We did
hmm
like this up tempo piano version of Here Comes Santa Claus. Uh, we have a lot going on right now. It's pretty fun. So in total, we have like almost 30 songs recorded, and we only have 5 or 6 out now.
hmm
So there's a long road ahead. We kind of have 2 batches of music going at the same time. So over the last couple of years, I've had this really cool opportunity to go out on the road with Randy Travis.
Oh,
He
nice.
does this. He does this tour called the More Life Tour.
hmm
Randy had a stroke like 10 years ago, and so the More Life Tour is pretty cool. It's really well crafted and well done. It could so easily be this, corny pity party, and it's not that at all. It's like this big Randy party. It's a big celebration.
Right.
It's really fun. And so Randy and his wife, they're on stage the whole time, and they kind of tell stories throughout his life and show clips and videos. And then there's kind of a through line of a guy named James Dupre, who he has this same, he kind of has that low velvet voice that Randy had. And so he comes out throughout the show and will sing some of the hits.
Yeah.
And anyway, a couple years ago, they invited me to be a part of that show. They asked me to come out and do a song.
hmm
And I was flipping out. I'm like, I don't have that voice. I don't sing like this.
Yeah.
So I was like, what do I do? And so I literally went through every song he ever recorded,
hmm
went through every song on every album beginning to end, which there are hundreds of. And I would check mark the ones I thought, okay, I can do my thing with this. And so I kept going back to the song that he recorded in 94 called Honky Tonk Side of Town.
Hmm.
And it's a really fun song. And it kind of it has the benefits of nobody knowing the song because it wasn't a hit. It was just like this B-side
Yeah.
album cut.
Yep.
Um, and it also has the advantage of being a Randy song. So it's
Mhm.
like nobody knows it, but it's a Randy song. So it kind of has two advantages at the same time because, if I were to go out and do, I don't know, Forever and Ever Amen,
Yeah.
everybody knows what that's supposed to sound like. And
Yeah.
no one, no matter how good you are, no one's going to do that better than Randy Travis because
Oh, yeah.
that's the version that you are, you're brought up with. And so it it worked in my favor because nobody knew this song, and I was able to go out and I was able to put all my bells and whistles into this one song and just go out and have one big mic drop moment and then walk
Hmm.
off stage.
Right.
And the first time went over so well. The invitation kept getting extended to multiple dates, and so now it's kind of this open ended. If it ever, if it works in my schedule, I can go out and be a part of
Right.
the show. Um, and so it kept going over so well in the live setting. We thought, man, we have to record this thing. And
Right.
so we went in with Kyle Linning, who was Randy's producer for his whole career,
Hmm.
and produced every hit he ever had. And so we went in with we went in with Kyle and cut Honky Tonk Side of Town, and Randy came into the studio. So that song came out in July,
Hmm.
and it has a fun video to it. It's like it's us in the studio with Randy, and
Yeah.
it's just pretty fun. But with that session, the way the musicians union works, you have to book so many hours,
Hmm.
and so we were able to record quite a few songs that day. We recorded 5 songs, and so the song after that is a song I wrote called "If the Phone Ain't Ringing, It's Me." It came out back in I think October,
Hmm.
and that was recorded from that same session. And "Here Comes Santa Claus" was recorded from that session as well. So we have a batch of songs that were all kind of up tempo piano
Yeah.
songs. We wanted to do that because that's kind of what I have been known to do over the last 10 years of
Hmm.
that style of music. But that being said, I have recorded a full album, full 12-track album with a guy named Mark Neal, a producer named Mark Neal, who he is this wizard. Um, he's based in Valdosta, Georgia,
Oh, nice.
and he produced the Black Keys Brothers album.
Oh, wow.
He produces like a lot of Charlie Crockett stuff.
Hmm.
He's just like involved in a lot of cool kind of off center, Americana indie,
Hmm.
just really, really good
Yeah.
stuff. And I've just been a big fan of his production for years, and pretty much stalked him until he said, "Yeah, let's record, let's record an album."
Fair.
And so we did, and that album is all. That's where I was really able to break away from, the Jerry Lee thing
Hmm.
or any other thing. And the sole purpose of that album was to write the best music we could, and we weren't going to write in a genre. We weren't aiming to please, somebody that doesn't matter.
Right.
It was to, please ourselves and build a really cool audience and really cool fan base.
Yeah.
And which is kind of his whole mantra, Mark Neal's. I mean, that's every artist he worked, the Black Keys, there's
Yeah.
nothing commercial about them, yet somehow they sell out arenas.
Right.
How's that work? And so that was kind of our goal. And we've really recorded this great album that I'm super proud of. So we've put out 3 songs from that album as well. Sunset Cemetery, Cinderella, and Never Made It to the Moon. There are some wild music videos that go along with those 3 songs. And so the rest of that album we will be releasing sometime next year. And we have a couple more songs that we recorded with Kyle as well. So and we have some gospel songs in the mix as well.
Nice.
So there's just a bunch of stuff going on at once. So it's all
Nice.
lots of irons in the fire, all creative, all a little different. The Kyle stuff kind of keeps the people that like the up tempo piano
Mhm.
stuff happy, and then the stuff with Mark Neal's, kind of the sole focus of that is to build just a Jacob Toliver audience, not somebody
Yeah.
that likes another artist. So,
Sure.
yeah, it's all going very well. It's all being received better than I thought it would. So,
I love
yeah.
it. It's cool because it's almost like there's 3 sides to you and your music career. in a lot of
Yeah.
regard. Like you have your history of be out doing the show out in Vegas and then get hitting the road with Jerry Lee Lewis, kind of that side of you, and then you have the more edgy indie, like I don't even know how to describe it, like the edgy indie.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah. And then
I don't know.
of course you can go into like the gospel side of things, and it's just like you're, and it feels all so natural. Like it's like, oh yeah, I believe it. Oh, oh, I believe that too, you know? So
That's the thing. And it is. And I've always kind of been like that. Like as a kid, I'd be walking around singing a Hank Jr. song, and then I'd go into a Frank Sinatra song. And so like when I was like 13, 14, I'd do shows around town, and some would be these straight up crooner Sinatra shows. That's all people, they'd want a full,
Mhm.
I'd be in a suit and, fly me to the moon, doing that stuff. And that was just as natural as playing country
Yeah.
and I've just been such a fan of all music, I think is where it comes from. It was really weird the way I learned music. Nobody really knows how I did this or why. My parents, they were into Van Halen and,
Hmm.
AC/DC and stuff like that. And my grandmother really liked music, but she was more like Frank Sinatra,
Hmm.
big band era, that kind of stuff. I went through this huge like Elvis phase when I was a kid, and nobody in my family liked Elvis, and not that they didn't like him, but they weren't
Yeah.
like these fans. And I had no idea like where I discovered Elvis. Went through this huge Elvis phase, like right out of the gate. And I'm like 6 years old,
Yeah.
7 years old, and had to have every album he ever had, ever put out. And like, I'm just huge. Well, then all of a sudden I kind of get sick of that. And I start from the beginning of recorded music. And so I start like early 1900s stuff that you would have never even heard of, the Boswell sisters and, like things like these groups that aren't even famous anymore.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking like the teens and
Yeah.
like ragtime and then I went, then I started going like 30s, 40s big band era, and then I moved to 50s and then I moved on to and by the way, when I was in those phases, I thought all the anything that was past that was junk. I thought music from the 60s or 70s or today's music at the time, I thought was
Yeah.
just awful. I thought it was just a bunch of screaming. But then at some point I caught up, and I like pop music.
Yeah.
I like modern country. I like everything. But I kind of went through the from the beginning through every decade, and I kind of attribute to that. Why I did that, I have no idea. How I even I would just dig and find these really cool art that I thought were cool artists. And it's so funny because I remember when I was only into 20s or 30s music, I thought the Beatles and the Stones, and
Where,
I thought that was just the worst music in the world. And now I'm like the biggest Stones fan in the
right.
world. And oh my God, and pop music,
Couldn't. Yeah.
modern pop music, I just thought was trash. And
Fair.
now I love it all. And so I don't know, it's just really weird. So I think that's where all that comes from, because I've really was just such a student of music and like went down these gospel holes where and that one wasn't all that long ago. That was when I was living in LA. I really went down a huge gospel rabbit hole. I went through this phase where every Sunday I had this goal of finding the best Black gospel group. And so I would go to a different Black church every Sunday, and I just was absorbing this because it's the best gospel music. I mean, there's hands down, you're not going to find better gospel. And oh my gosh, I'm just like, it was so funny because here I am, the only white boy in this, in these churches, and they love me. It was so funny, like, and I would just like absorb this music and was just completely like in a trance. And so I went through this huge gospel phase. And so then that just, I soaked that up because growing up, I grew up Christian, but we didn't have like, it was very white, clap on the wrong beat. And you kind of have an old, 75, 80-year-old soprano that's warbling up in the rack.
Right.
It just wasn't music you wanted to listen to. And I was always so envious of the South. Like, my gosh, they have, like, the South has gospel music.
Yeah, they were like actually singers. But
yeah. And so, and even as a kid, like I I didn't dig in, but if I were to ever listen to gospel, it would be the I'll Fly Aways and the Will the Circle Be Unbroken, that kind of stuff. But when I went to LA, man, I dug in. I just went through this spell where I was just in it.
It's a whole thing. Yeah. I got you. That's cool. But I don't want to keep you here too much longer because I know it's starting to get a little late, but appreciate your time. For people to check out your new music, obviously you got a very busy plate coming up on you. Where can people find you online? Where can they find you on social? All that fun stuff.
Yeah, pretty much everything is at Jacob Toliver. JacobToliver.com is the website, and all social platforms are just my name, Jacob Toliver, as well as Spotify and all streaming. So it's pretty easy to find me because it's just my name. Yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And then once again, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute blast. We'll definitely have to sit down and do this again, either when I'm out in Nashville or because I feel like this interview would have gone on for like 5.5 hours easy.
I could talk to a wall. You give me somebody that's easy to talk to and I could just keep going.
I appreciate that. But once again, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch y'all later.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, man.